Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm Claire Jones. If we haven't already met, I'm an author and small publisher committed to changing the world for the better through inclusive stories and practices. And we are jumping on today for my Authorvision Facebook Live series, where I interview the amazing and inspiring authors in my network and discuss the personal visions that have shaped our lives and careers. So if you're joining us, please like, comment, share below. Let us know that you're here. And today I'm talking to Charlie.
Hi.
So glad to have you.
I'm so happy to be here. This is so wonderful.
And I think we met at Geek Girl Con.
Yes, yeah, we met
Yeah,
at Geek Girl Con, which
yeah.
was such a fun event.
I mean, I loved everyone that I spoke to there, like all of the authors. I was like, yes, we need to be friends.
Yes. I also got that energy. It was so wonderful. Everyone was just so supportive at that convention. It was just a really great community.
Yeah, yeah, we got to stick together, right?
Yes,
Mhm,
definitely, definitely.
mhm. Well, let's jump right on in. Tell me about your backstory. How did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, so I am 22 years old. I am currently a full-time college student, and I originally started college as an architecture major.
Mm,
And then I eventually ended up switching into writing because I kind of realized that in my free time, I was just like wanting to write. Like I would be doing my homework for architecture and I'd be thinking of book ideas. And I'd be doing my homework and I'd be like, I really just want to be writing right now. Like I can't wait to finish the work in order so that way I can go write because that was what I wanted to be doing. And I kind of one night kind of sat there and went, why am I doing this? Is this going to be my whole life where I'm working for the weekend so I can have time
mm,
to write? And I
mm.
kind of realized that wasn't the life I wanted. And then my last semester in architecture started with me signing a 6-book contract with Scarsdale Publishing.
Wow.
So I kind of had this idea in my head, like, maybe I could actually do this crazy thing.
Mhm.
So I ended up switching majors, and I'm so happy I did. I am now a college senior, so I'm wrapping up my writing degree here. And I have since sold 10 books across 3 different publishing houses. And at GeekGirlCon, actually, I met my agent, and now I have an agent, so I'm starting to move, hopefully, into bigger projects and such. So yeah, it kind of just spiraled out from me realizing that I wanted to be spending my time writing instead of doing other things and hoping to have time to write.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. You found the sweet spot when writing is the reward, when the thing
Yes.
that you want to do is the reward. It's like the treat that you give yourself for like
Yeah.
through everything else.
Yeah. And that was definitely it. It was like, oh, I got all my homework done. I can like write for an hour. Yay.
Yeah,
I was like, well, why am I doing that? Why don't I just write?
yeah, yeah, exactly. That's so funny. So I assume you've been a reader for a long time, yeah?
Yes. Yeah. My whole life, I was a little slow to learn how to read because I am dyslexic and I
Mhm.
didn't know I was dyslexic until high school. And then it kind of all clicked into place. It was like one of those things where like someone tells you something and you go, oh, that makes sense. So I was always a little bit slower with reading and a little bit slow to reading, but I always loved reading and I loved when like my mom would read books to me. Because that really helped with the dyslexia because like it was seeing it was hard, but she would read books to me for a very long time and it was just something special that we did together. And I've always loved reading.
Yeah, yeah. So you're more into audiobooks, I'm guessing.
I listen to a lot of audiobooks, but I also do physical reading as well because I like the feel of the paper
Same
and I like
here.
the turning of the pages is always really fun. But I
Yeah,
have recently gotten into more audiobooks just because it's a lot easier, like especially like if I have to clean my room or
sure.
do household chores or stuff, especially since now I'm like living on my own at college doing laundry. It's so nice when I have like those tasks where you can like just kind of shut your brain off. Instead of shutting my brain off, I pop in an audiobook and I listen to it while I'm working. And that's been just so nice.
That's so funny. I'm much more of a visual processor than an auditory processor. And so I can't really listen to podcasts and I can't really listen to audiobooks because when I do, I just stand frozen in place while I'm listening to it. So I don't actually get anything done. I'm like unloading the dishwasher and just like holding the plates in my hand while I'm listening. But I consider audiobooks definitely counts as reading. I know there
Yes,
are people out there who are like, they don't count. And I'm like, we're inclusive in this house.
yes, yes, they definitely count.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me about your genres. Why are you writing in the genre you are writing in? Has that been a love for a long time?
I write in a lot of different genres, and normally the genre I write in, it's based more on like the idea that hits me rather than like I only write this genre. But my most recent published novel is called Rule 25, Don't Fall for the Target, and it is a YA spy thriller. And that is a genre that I have been in love with for a very long time. Ally Carter was one of the first authors of like larger books that I started reading as a kid, and was one of like few authors where it was like worth the dyslexia of like sitting down and like reading the book, because I often struggled with like picking books that would hold me just because it was harder for me to read as a kid. And Ally Carter was one of those authors where no matter what book it was by her, I could always read it without problem, and like the reading was so engaging. And she writes a lot of like spy thrillers and heists and such like that. High Society was a book I won at a library reading contest. And
Mm.
that was my first Ally Carter book. So that genre was really something special to me. And I always knew I wanted to write a book like that. And that was my most recent book was in that genre. And that was very much like a passion that I always had because of that love of reading from when I was little.
Yeah. I mean, I always ask that question because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy at the end of the day. You know, what we read is ultimately what we write too.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Tell me about this process of finding a publishing house, of finding an agent, because I'm sure a lot of our audience out there haven't even gotten to those steps, and it's kind of a mysterious thing to them. So pull the veil away a little bit.
For me, I tried traditional querying for all of my books, for all three of my book deals. I tried traditional querying. I got nothing but rejections, for my first series. For Demon Scout, which was my first published novel, that one I got one partial request. One agent said, send me a little bit of it and I'll see, and then she ended up rejecting. So I didn't really have a whole lot of luck with traditional querying. For me, what really worked was Twitter pitch contests. And I don't really like Twitter,
Yeah.
but it has gotten me all of my book deals. So I can't speak harshly about Twitter. Um,
Wow.
all three of them have been through different Twitter pitch contests. Sci-Fi Pit for the first series, and then Kidlit Pit, and then Mood Pit. And all of them have been just the publishers seeing the post and liking the post. And then I sent them the material, and then they were like, yeah, we'll take it. Um,
Wow.
so that's how I signed all 10 of my books. And then for my agent, I was at Geek Girl Con with you, as you know, and I spoke on a panel about unusual ways to get your book published, because this is
Mm.
not normal that all of my books are signed through Twitter. That's not like a normal thing that normally happens to most people, that I've signed 10 books through Twitter. So I spoke on this panel about like unconventional ways of getting published. And the woman who sat next to me on the panel was Leslie Varney, who ended up becoming my agent. And we started talking afterward. And another unconventional way of pitching, I just mentioned, I'm currently querying this YA superhero book. Would you be interested in taking a look at it? And she said, sure, send it over. And she loved it. And so Geek Girl Con got me my agent, and Twitter got me all my books so far.
I love this. I absolutely love this because so many authors are afraid of A, social media,
Yes.
and B, doing events like Geek Girl Con.
Yeah.
Because we've been told for decades at this point that the only way to get traditionally published is through the querying
Yes.
process.
Yeah. And it's
And
so hard. The querying process is so emotionally draining.
it's emotionally draining and it's inefficient, may I
Yes.
say?
Yes. Definitely. I would agree with that.
Because you're competing against such a large body of people, and at the end of the day it's almost impersonal too,
Yes.
because you don't have that personalized connection that you can get through a social media presence, through events like Geek Girl Con. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to have some type of value alignment
Yeah.
with the people that you're going to work with. And you're not going to be able to find that value alignment unless you talk to them first,
Yeah.
or at least watch them first,
Yeah.
you know? That's fascinating. I love this. I mean, I could stay for this entire podcast on that topic, but I want to know what goal, what vision, what was that North Star that kept you going? Like, what were you aiming toward through all of this?
Through all of this, it's kind of been, it started out that my goal was like, can I do this? And proving to myself that my writing was something other people would want. And then
Mm,
once I made that switch into writing major, my goal kind of switched into trying to make this like a practical career and something I could actually do, and proving instead of to the world and to other people. It went from being like from myself to trying to prove to like everyone like I can do this, and this energy of like I want to do this and I want to have books with my name on it, and I want to show that even though I'm dyslexic and I'm disabled, I have a chronic illness, I can still be a writer, because there's not a whole lot of dyslexic writers that I know. And like no one in my major is dyslexic, and it just offers like this extra balance. But especially like speaking at like schools and stuff, it's been really wonderful to be able to share with kids at school visits like, I'm dyslexic, I've been through this, it's hard, but you can still do it if this is something you love. And the response I've gotten from students has been absolutely amazing with that. So
mm.
kind of just this vision of wanting to inspire others and wanting to prove to myself that I can still do it and prove to others that I have what it takes has really been like this vision.
I love that. I mean, how do you build your confidence with that?
I just kind of, it's one of those things where I kind of like fake it till you make it type of deal.
That is so real. I love that answer. Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of it. There's not really a whole lot, just kind of act confident. I was a theater kid. I did theater from age 5 through high school. So just kind of like putting on like this character of a confident actor when I go out is kind of like a big
I love
thing. And then just kind of gaining it through acting it.
that.
So
Mhm.
that really fake it till you make it energy has really been helpful.
I mean, I'm right there with you. Like, that's ultimately what I've been doing over the years too.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a Leo rising, and so I can perform. Like, put me on a stage and I can perform for you, and I will walk away and not even know what I said. Like, I'll
Yep.
just black out for the entire experience. But I think this is key because you do have to create this almost like super ego for
Yes.
yourself, this
Yeah.
like supernatural alter ego that you can create, this persona that you can create, but one that is ultimately aligned with your own values and visions and goals and stuff like that. But sometimes you just need to like put on the outfit, put
Yep.
on the persona, and like, you know, play dress up.
Yep.
And be like, yes, I am an author.
Yes. I can do this.
Mhm, mhm. Because ultimately, like I also thought while you were talking, everyone loves an underdog story too.
Yeah.
And so if you can connect with people using that underdog story, then you can have an inspirational underdog story. And I think that is so key to hitting that balance between relatability and inspiration at the same
Yeah.
time. Because people who veer too far towards the inspo nowadays, they start to feel a
Yeah.
little fake. You
Yeah.
know, it's like
Yeah.
unattainable. It's an ideal that we'll never reach because it's a fake promise. But then
Yeah.
if we veer too much towards relatability, then that's where like we can start self-deprecating almost too.
Yeah.
And that also then encourages our audiences to deprecate us as well.
Yeah.
And so you really need to be able to strike this balance between those two extremes of like, how can I make my underdog story an inspirational story?
Yeah. Which is often difficult to do. It's a fine balance.
It is, it is. And you can create the persona
Yes.
that believes that for you.
Yes.
I love that. Okay, so what are the big lessons that you've learned along the way?
Something I really learned, and it was last semester, I was doing a fieldwork class, and I was so stressed. I was like, I have to finish this book, and I have this project due to the editor, and I have this that I'm working on, and I have to query this. And I kind of took a moment and I took a deep breath and I kind of sat there and I went, wow, this is the stress I used to dream of having. This is the stress that I wanted so badly.
I need to lay down after that one. Oh my God. Okay, continue.
So that was like one of the biggest lessons I learned, was just taking a moment and realizing when I started this, having the stress of like having edits due back to a publisher, that's a dream. Because that means I have a book deal. That means I'm moving forward in publishing. And it was just kind of this realization in this moment where I went, oh my gosh, the stress I currently have is stress I used to wish that I could have someday. And that was kind of like a really key lesson that I've been learning to embrace when things get really hard. And it gets to be a lot of work because it's so full-time student, and then I have all these different book projects. So I often have a lot on my plate, and just taking these moments of realizing that this was the plate that I have dreamed of having in front of me for so long, to finally have it is just so amazing.
I love that. I want to put that up on a billboard. Like, shit. Because I think we fall into this myth a lot of the times that, like, once we reach what we define success to be, then we won't have problems.
Yeah,
Then we
that's
won't
true.
have challenges. We won't have stress. Like, once I get to point B, then everything will be good. Everything will be happy. Everything will be fun, you know? But
Yeah.
problems don't go away.
No.
They exist. Like, there's always, that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in the last couple of years, is that I cannot expect the good things to not have bad things attached to it,
Yes. Yeah.
because it's two sides of the same coin, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so I love that you said that this is the stress I was dreaming of having,
Yeah.
because you're preparing yourself to handle that stress when it does come up. You aren't defeated by it when it does come up.
No.
It doesn't deter you. It's not an obstacle. It's something that is expected.
Yeah.
And then you can actually, like, really reasonably helpfully address it, instead of just pretending that it doesn't exist, or going into a moping session, or pretending that, I love it, because we can get so discouraged. We can get so stymied by stress when it does come up, that I think that's a really healthy approach. Oh, I love that. I love that. This is the
Yeah.
stress that I dreamed of having.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the book project, once you sell it, that's not the end, then you have
Yeah.
editing, and you have cover that you have to put in an opinion on, and you have more editing and more editing, and then the final product is here, and you have to do pre-order sales, and you have to start doing marketing work, and you have to start pitching it out there into the world. And that's a
Man.
whole nother job that I wasn't really expecting when I first started, was the marketing job of it. And I've been trying to like learn as I go with marketing, because I
Yeah.
don't have a background in that at all. And it's just one of those things where it's never really done, because the book is it's out there, then you market it, and then you pitch it, and then you keep pitching it to readers.
Absolutely.
So it's just this thing that keeps going, and it's important for me especially to just like take a moment and realize, like, oh my gosh, I have to do marketing. To take a moment and go, oh my gosh, I get to do marketing for a book that I have published.
Yes. 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 I run into so many authors who, like, may have the initial success of, like, the first month that it's out. They like
Yeah.
reach the Amazon bestseller list in their category or whatever it is. And then it disappears into obscurity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like, why is this happening to me? People liked it. Why aren't there more people? And I'm just like, you have to continue the momentum.
Yeah.
It's not a one and done kind of thing. Like, it's not going to create a life of its own.
No.
Like, think about how many books are in used bookstores that no one knows exists.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, if you don't continually talk about it, if you don't continually market it, it's not going to maintain that momentum over time.
Yeah. My publisher, he said several times that the most successful books are continuously marketed for 3 years, and that most authors finish marketing after 3 months.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you have to, it's a long-term project. It's
Yes.
not a one and done kind of thing. And
No,
I think
not at all.
we've gotten kind of brainwashed, can I say, by society, of thinking, like, 2-day overnight shipping is like applicable to everything in our lives.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we can't expect these instant, set in stone, deliverable timelines for everything.
Yes, no, exactly. It's a continual process. It's not, oftentimes it's so like I hear a lot throwaway culture. And I feel that with a lot of people with their books, it's like on to the next project. And
Yeah.
it's like you have to go on to the next project, but you also can't leave the first project behind because now it needs marketing.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things, I don't remember who said it, but someone said, when your book is published, it's just been born and it's an infant. And you take
Mm,
care of it like a child, like it's an infant. It's not done, it's not grown. You can't just like be like, go off into the world because it's a baby, it's a
yeah.
newborn.
Yeah. Yeah. Go survive.
Yeah, exactly. It's not to that point yet because it's still, it's not even a year old yet. It's a baby. And to think
Yeah.
of it in that terms was also really helpful. It was like, oh yeah, no, a baby can't go out and do anything. You have to continue to raise it
I
and
love that.
support it.
Oh, I love that. So, getting to the practical portion, what
Yeah.
tools or practices did you use to support yourself? Like, what kept you sane throughout this process?
Honestly, writing kept me sane in my real life. It was kind of like this reverse thing. When I first started seriously writing, and I use air quotes with seriously because I've
Yeah.
always been writing and what is
Yeah.
serious writing.
Yeah.
But when I first started seriously writing, I was home on leave from college, due to medical leave. I was on medical leave from college. I had gotten gastroparesis and I had no idea that's what I had at that point. It took over a year to get a diagnosis. But with the gastroparesis, I wasn't able to eat solid foods. My body was refusing to digest solid
Mhm.
foods. And writing really became this escapism for me from
Mhm.
the pain that I was feeling and from the not being able to eat and the stress of like all of that and the fact that I had to go on medical leave from college, which is such like a huge terrifying thing to do.
Yeah.
So writing was really the tool in my life to keep me sane
Mm.
rather than needing a tool to keep me sane from the writing.
Yeah.
The writing has always been the tool to keep me sane in my real life. So it's really operated as the tool in my life. So it's kind of been like this reverse. And now I have the diagnosis. I'm moving back towards a normal diet again, which is wonderful. But it's just been this long process of the writing has always been the escapism and where I can go. And it oftentimes feels to me like when you're little and you're playing like dolls or something and you want to put on like a show for your parents and like show them like what you did with your dolls, like look at this. Except as a writer, we get to do that in a more professional way and in a way where then more than just our parents in our living room see it.
Yeah. 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 I used the analogy the other day of making my Barbie dolls kiss.
Yes.
I'm like, kiss, kiss. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and that's what it is. That's what writing is. It's often play, and it's often writers are playing, and then they get to share this play world that they've created, whether their play world be very dark and scary or very light and happy. They get to then share that world with everyone, and then everyone is invited then to play with them in this world, and I think that's just wonderful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, did writing also keep you sane through all of the like marketing challenges and
Yeah.
publishing challenges as well?
Definitely, because marketing is not where I have the strongest forte. So
Mm,
like when I have to do all like this marketing stuff, it's really nice to then take a pause and be like, no, I get to go write today. I'm not gonna do marketing today. I did so much marketing the last few days, like I can just sit and write today. And that
mhm.
has definitely helped.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that. Anything else? Any other practices that you've done?
Um, I've really been learning, like relying and letting other people in because that's such a huge part, and that's a tool that I've been building is gaining the confidence to share with other people. And my mother has been, and I feel like always will be for as long as she can, my first beta reader.
Mhm.
She's the one who reads all my books first.
Mhm.
Um, and it's just kind of like gaining the trust of like strangers of being like, here's a book, I wrote it. Will you like it? And that's true in the editing stage, in the beta reader stage, and in the marketing stage of trying to sell it. So that is a tool that I've been slowly trying to learn and gain as I go, and I've been slowly gaining more confidence with it, but it is definitely like such an important tool that has often been difficult for me to have that I'm slowly gaining.
Yeah, yeah. What was the initial resistance for you in bringing other people in?
I think just fear. I think fear of them not liking it or it not being good enough, this fear that I can't really do this, and it's just kind of like this high in the sky dream in my head of being like, I can write a book. And that has slowly diminished as I've, had books published and books signed, and there's been a lot of really wonderful people who've been very supportive and like, you got this, and having publishers who have such a faith and a vision for the story also has really helped with that confidence gaining. But I think it was just genuine fear that it wasn't going to be good enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can understand that. My best friend is my first beta reader.
Yeah.
Like we've been best friends since college. We were roomies in
Oh,
college,
nice.
and she took the literature route for her degree, and I took the art history route for my degree. But there's a lot of overlap, and we read a lot of the same books, and so like she's like the perfect beta reader for me because A, she knows the genre, and B, I trust her to tell me when it's shit.
Yes, yes. That's another thing is you need people to tell you when it's bad, but it's also just fear of them saying it's bad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My best friend's one of those people too that would like, she would say the criticism very, very nicely. So like it's like soft criticism. She's like,
That's bad.
it's great. And there's these little things in here. And I'm like, that's what I need for like the first iteration of beta reading because
Yeah,
it's still in the gestational stage too, if we're using the baby metaphor.
yeah.
So yeah, I love that. You have to have cheerleaders and supporters around you that not only give you the facts of reality, but also encourage you alongside with it.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Because it's so easy, especially with writing, because it's so isolating, because it's
Mhm.
just you at the computer. So having that team and building that team is so important in order to keep going and keeping the work as good as it can be. I truly believe that no book is done if it hasn't been edited by other people.
Yes.
It has to go
Yes.
through other eyes because you have no idea if it makes sense in your head, if it's going to make sense in anyone else's head.
Man, I am astounded sometimes the books that come out that have not been edited by other people or at least read by other people before it's published. Like,
Yeah.
how did this get past? That's honestly what encouraged me to start writing fiction was how many bad books I've read over the years. I was like, I could at least do better than that. Oh, that's so funny. All right, anything you want to add before we start wrapping up?
No, thank you so much for having me. It's been just delightful talking with you.
Yes, I love these calls. Like, I will continue doing them until, I don't know, something catastrophic happens, I guess. But this is really powerful stuff that we're talking about because these often feel like commiseration sessions, cheerleading
Yes.
sessions, therapy sessions. We get into the nitty gritty of like the good and the bad and all of the stuff in between. And audience, we definitely encourage you to share your own thoughts and feelings and stories and insights with us as well. We'd love to know how visions and goals like these have impacted you in your own lives. So special thanks to Charleigh for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
It's been so wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so please comment, like, subscribe. My link is linktree/clairjoyance for all of my information. And then where can folks find out more about you?
I am on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. I have my own website. It's Charlie S. right on most of it, but my name is spelled in such a unique way. If you Google my name, all my social media just instantly comes up because
Excellent.
no one else spells their name like this. So, the easiest way would probably just be through Google search, but otherwise I'm on social media. It's I would love to connect with any of you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you shared your links, so I'll put them in the description for easy access.
Okay.
And until next time, please remember that you all have extraordinary stories to share, and we're rooting for you as you use them to change the world for the better. Take care, everyone.